Welcome back to The Grind for another 7.2 completion guide. This time we are going to talk about Quest 4, and I believe the easy path is this Flare and Slumber lane, where the opponent is stunned for a large portion of the fight, and you have increased attack. There also is size matter, so you are going to want to have at least large champions, preferably, but the nice thing is that you don't actually take damage back when you glance, so you can use other champions. Now, you can really build up damage fast in this because the opponent does not attack, they just remain stunned. So champions like Hyperion are great. You can see a glancing there when I did a medium attack, but I did not take any damage back. So I can just continually spam heavies, build up tons of furies, throw off special twos for the big damage, and most of the fight they are stunned. And even once they come unstunned, you can still chain on heavies because while they're stunned, they do not gain power, and only after do they start to gain power, and you can still get a few heavies on before they get to a full bar of power. So you can see here, the light attacks here are glancing, but we're not taking damage back as in a previous node where you really did not want to glance. Here, it's actually okay if you do, you just have decreased damage and decreased ability accuracy. So that last fight with Hyperion is a 5-star rank 5 champion, and we only lost 25% health. So you can quite easily clear the whole lane with just 5-star champions, even though you don't get the increased attack modifier in Act 7. Now, with Man-Thing, we're actually doing pretty good as well, dealing a significant amount of damage. Those heavy attacks are critting for over 30,000 damage. We're building up some poisons as well, which is doing lots of damage. In addition to that, because of the flare node, it's ticking over 2,000 per tick, which is fantastic. And again, only lost about 20-something% health. This next fight again is with Hyperion, and we have class advantage this time. You can see the damage just builds up so fast, and with this special one, you can see the damage we get off the incinerates is quite nice. He starts to melt pretty quickly, and then this fight only lasted about 30 seconds or less. We go in one more time with that special 2 chained on, and we got a lot of overkill. Now, Abomination also worked just fine. I think any champion who is large or extra large will work great, and we're getting armor breaks on the heavy attacks thanks to the Man-Thing synergy, so that's helping our damage go up as well. Now, one champion I did not use, but is definitely easy cheesable option, is Corvus Glaive. You can really get some insane damage out of him, and he's not too difficult to build up during that Slumber phase on the first fight, and once you get through that, pretty much every fight after that is so easy, and you don't have to worry about the degen killing you because he will just not die from the passive damage over time. You can see I relied quite heavily on Hyperion in this path. We're using him again, and we're still above 50% health at this point in the fight. We do throw off a couple special twos, and I'm going to skip ahead a little bit here. This is the second special two, some nice damage off of that, and then we finish it off with another heavy attack, or a couple more heavy attacks, I guess I should say. Now, Apocalypse, there's nothing really about him that makes him great for this fight, except maybe the bleeds that he gets on the heavy attacks. But you can see, even with him, we get through this fight relatively quick, without much difficulty, and again, only losing about 20-something% health, and then we get him down without any difficulty at all. He didn't even get to attack us. Now, as far as the boss goes, I went with Immortal Abomination, but I'm not convinced he's the easiest. I think it depends on the champions you have. To go up against Man-Thing would be the next easiest, but you want to use a champion that has no energy damage and that does not trigger power gain, because otherwise your power gain will be removed and you'll get a power drain. Now, Immortal Abomination is just a very stacked up, beefy Immortal Abomination. Now, I went in with my Immortal Abomination to test the waters and see how this meltdown mechanic worked. You also have hurt lockers, so you cannot use the same special back to back. If you do, you are going to have to use a heavy attack on the opponent very quickly, or you'll take a huge amount of damage. The other annoying thing is that kinetic transference. Every time you block an attack, even if you block his special 2, he'll gain power for every hit that connects. So you will want to keep that in mind. So at the top left under my health bar, you see a red timer that's ticking around. That is the meltdown timer. If it expires while it is still on me, then I will start to take some damage over time. Now, if I throw a special attack, then it will transfer over to the opponent. Now, ideally, you can transfer it over to the opponent and then let it expire on the opponent. But in this fight, that's a little easier said than done. So here you're going to see it's about to expire. So last second, I throw off the special 2, even though I don't quite have an in, so that we transfer it over to the opponent so we don't take any damage. Now, what you can do do is try to delay things so he does not throw a special attack, but you can see that timer is quite long, so it can be challenging to avoid a special long enough, especially with transference. He builds up power. So you can see even when he threw the special attack, I blocked it, he gained power back, and once he threw it off, it switched over to me, and now I have that meltdown timer on me again. Any poison immune champion will work well for this fight, but ideally you'll want a poison immune champion with power control. Now with Hyperion, we're gonna actually time one of the meltdowns on Immortal Abomination just to see the damage that it does, which is quite nice, but it's not really practical. It just kind of slows down the fight trying to make that happen. At least that's how I felt, but it's just a really long fight overall regardless. So with Hyperion, you can build up lots of Furies and get some good damage. I screwed up with a counter heavy there, I should have done, but we throw off a special one. He does not have enough power for a special one, so now we're just trying to dance around and wait it out so that we can let that meltdown timer expire on Immortal Abomination and see the damage that it deals. And once it expires, you see it triggers about 5% of its health as damage, and then it switches back over to yourself. And again, once you throw off a special, it'll switch back. Now, I think a more fast-paced play style where you're just throwing specials, baiting a special, throwing a special, baiting a special might work out a little easier, but if you're in a situation with a power control champion that you can still maintain your aggression without worrying about messing up and getting hit or getting backed into the corner and prevent him from throwing specials, then that would be the ideal situation. Someone like Vision would be great, except the damage output would be lacking. Now, Warlock was what did it for me this time through, but I think I might consider taking Guillotine 2099 and have her ramped up for this fight, and then I can just spam special ones to keep the power controlled a little bit more. Let me know if you have other thoughts on good champions for this who would be poison immune and have some good power control, but Warlock got me through it. It was just a very long fight. I did my best at times to try to get power control at a point where he was already kind of lower on power so that I could just maintain him under 1 bar of power and let that expire. But most of the time I didn't really bother with it and I just played normally with Warlock. The fact that a special 1 animation is long and it has power drain is nice because then you really only have to dance around for 2/3 to half of that cooldown, and so you have a lot of space. If you've pushed him back against the wall, you can just bait it out, wait it out and let that 5% damage expire and help the fight speed along a little bit more. But again, because of that node, you have to alternate which special attacks you use, so you can't just spam special ones back to back unless you're confident enough in your ability to get a heavy attack off really quick after that, because otherwise you'll take about 50% of your total health as damage, and that could put you in a really tight situation. So I'm gonna speed things along and skip some sections with this fight because it is so long, but here's another time where I was able to wait around a little bit to let that meltdown timer expire and get a little extra 5% damage taken off from that. And then we speed along a little bit here. I threw off a special 2 to get a little bit of that damage. We're getting really close to finishing off the fight, and it only takes a couple more heavy attacks, I believe I do. So let me know what your thoughts are on the fight. If you took a different boss, let me know if you think that they are easier, what champions you plan to use or did use. I, again, hope these videos have been helpful for you in completing or exploring whichever one you have been doing for Act 7.2. Let me know your thoughts. Check out the playlist for more guides, and I hope to see you in the next video.